How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the video. I just wanted to give you guys an update on the chicks we have coming. I also have to do a video about the pigs and the Rogue Food Conference. A lot of videos I have to make, but have been putting off just because I'm not sure quite how I want to do them. But I do know that I want to show you guys this stage. This is the brooder setup, and I know, Mark Baker, if you're watching, you're saying, I don't like those heat lamps. I don't really like them either. This is a temporary solution just for this year until we get a propane hover heater, or probably a couple would be ideal for this setup. This is a brooder for our meat chickens. Oh, I said on that, it's reinflating. We have 300 jumbo Cornish cross coming from Townline Hatchery. The delivery date is tomorrow, but they could arrive tomorrow or Tuesday. The 27th is the dates, but they could come Monday, Tuesday, maybe even Wednesday, depending on what their volume is in there. And I'm going off of very heavily Joel Salatin's Pastured Poultry Profits. So the dimensions of this brooder are 7-ish, 8-ish foot by 11-ish, 12-ish foot, giving us roughly 75 to 80 square feet. The size in the book, rule of thumb equation, is 25 square foot per 100 birds up to 4 weeks of age, if I'm not mistaken. So that's what we based this off of. We're trying to mimic the mother hen in that we want it to be a safe place, free of drafts. So we have a window there and a window here that we can close to keep it from being drafty. But we do want it to be well ventilated, not when they're young, right? We don't want it to stink, obviously, which we're going to control with sawdust that we have down. This is sawdust that we get for bedding our cattle pens. So it is a little bit damp. So I put it out here yesterday so it can evaporate any surface moisture. And then we have just the pine shavings that are kiln dried from Tractor Supply. They're like $4-5 a bag. So we got those. I'll probably need more, but I'm going to put those down before the chicks arrive at the top layer. But just use that free sawdust we have from the farm to build up a base. So we have heat lamps here, and I bought these humidity and temperature sensors. Humidity is the large text, temperature is the small text. I got 4 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, so we can test the temperature and humidity at different areas of the pen. They were super cheap. They were like $7-8 to get 4 of them. They seem to be, from what I have experienced, quite accurate. The one thing about heat lamps is that it's not an even heat. So you can see directly underneath it says it's 104. In between it says it is 70. So it doesn't give off an even heat. A hover heater, like I've seen that Mark Baker has, he's a friend that lives near us that does pastured poultry, and he does pastured poultry and pigs. He uses a hover heater. Has had bad experiences with heat lamps, and that has encouraged me to order a hover heater as soon as I have the funds. Waiting for that Trump money. No, I'm kidding. But next round of birds, we're going to have hover heaters, not heat lamps, because they kind of make me uneasy as well. I built some grates, you can see, out of 1/4-inch poultry wire and just some ripped pallet wood to set the waterers on, just so when they walk over them, the sawdust and litter will fall off their feet so they don't get it in the water. But yeah, so this is our brooder setup. Yeah, we just got gallon waterers and our feeders here. Rule of thumb is that, what was it, Abram? 30% of the chicks should have access to food at all times. So we have enough feeders here to where it's more like 50%. So we're covered there. We got feed from Country Feed Supply. I'm going to double check that. think it was Country Feed Supply, but it's just a non-GMO feed. Country Feed Supply, yep. Got it from Country Feed Supply. Here, I'll show you guys the recipe even. Can you see it? We got 2 ton. There's the recipe. There, you can kind of see it there. I'm gonna fix all this in editing. Talk about cost, I guess. The chicks were $528. That works out to $1.76 per chick. We are in the free delivery area of Town Line. If you're within a certain geographical area of the hatchery, they will ship for free. And they're in Holland, Michigan, so they're very, very close to us, so we're in that zone. Feed, 2 ton, which is estimated to feed these birds out to 5 pounds live weight in 7 to 8 weeks, was $858.95. That includes delivery to where we're at, which was $65. So just shy of $800 for 2 ton of non-GMO feed delivered to where we are at. Like I said, we got that from Country Feed Supply in Mayo, so we were close-ish to them, to where delivery was like a lot more affordable than we thought it was going to be, and the feed was a lot more affordable.
Well, they piggybacked off another delivery.
Yes, yep. Yeah, so our
we
feed
split shipping pretty much
yeah.
for delivery.
So it came on a truck that was full, that was delivering to a chicken farm close to us. So yeah, if you were just having it delivered just to you and they had to come up with a truck that wasn't full of deliveries for other farms, it would probably be more expensive. And if you wanted it in a smaller quantity, like if you guys wanted to do 50 birds, 100 birds just for your family and wanted it in bagged feed, because you didn't just have a big bulk tote or something or barrel to put it in, bagging it was cheaper than delivery if you wanted to have it bagged and go pick it up. So the feed does have soy in it. I know some people don't like soy in their feed. We're just getting started. We might get there someday. But for now, we think this is a good start for us. We do plan to put these in the Joel Salatin style chicken tractor. Yeah, so I know we're not going to get an exact idea of how high these have to be. We're probably going to tweak it once the chicks get here. We're going to look at the behavior of the chicks. If they're all crowded directly under the lights, then that means it is too cold, because they're all congregating where it's the warmest. So we would drop the lamps down to create a larger area that's warmer. If they're all crowded away from the lights, that means it's too hot and they don't want to get near them. So once the chicks get here, we'll have an idea of where we want the lights to be. One tip, I guess, is I've noticed our mom just got like 10 or 15 laying hens. Do you get like 10 of them?
You got 10. There's
10
9 now.
9 now. 1 loss, 1 casualty. But I noticed she had the water close to the heat lamp, and that made the water very warm.
And don't build your pen out of small square bales. The chicks will escape and get into the wall, and then you got to tear the chicken coop apart to get to them.
Yep, that is a good tip. That happened more than once. That wasn't the first time. That's happened a lot.
Yes.
So you don't want warm water. If it's anything like cows like cool water. It tastes better. And if you have warm water, bacteria is going to grow in warm water much more so than in cool water. So plan is to put the water around away from the heat lamp so it stays cool. Feed doesn't matter so much, but our plan is to have food and water kind of scattered everywhere so they don't have to walk from this end of the pen to that end of the pen to get food and water. Group size. So if you haven't read Pastured Poultry Profits or bought a copy, get one, read it. It is basically the holy Bible of raising meat chickens on pasture. We are running 300 birds in this brooder, and that is the max group size suggested by Joel Salatin for meat birds. If you were running, we were going to do 500, but instead of doing 500 in one group, we decided let's cut back. We don't want to take off more than we can chew and just do 2 groups of a smaller number. If we were going to do 500, we would partition this. Well, first we'd make it bigger, and then we would split those into 2 groups of 250 or 5 groups of 100, but you don't want more than 300 because these are very finicky chicks. They're very scared, and they have a tendency to pile up. And that's just in their instincts. When they feel scared, they would go to their mama hen, right? And there would be whatever 10, 15 chicks that would go around the mama hen, and there's no threat of suffocating under chicks when it's in that system. So that's kind of what we're mimicking. If there's too many birds and there's a loud noise, we had a friend who lost half of their chicks. They had a group of 200, 100 of them died because we had an awful hailstorm that came through. The loud noise spooked the chicks. They piled up, and half of them suffocated. So another thing I want to do is create some like accordion partitions that I can put in here if we're going to have some terrible thunderstorm that's coming through. I want to be able to come in and partition this off and split the chicks into groups of 100 so that if I'm not here and something loud happens, they get spooked, there's not enough of them to pile up in the corners to suffocate chicks. And you can see we've cut boards and we have cut the corners off so that they're less likely to, they have less places to pile up and get grouped together. Some people do round brooders. I've seen people take roofing steel and cut it into 2-foot strips and zip screw them together in a circle so that there's literally no corners for them to pile up on. But they'll still pile up even in that if they're really spooked, and I've seen that happen to people. Yeah, feed. Another thing we'll be doing is giving them a mix of kelp for their mineral and vitamin and mineral needs as a supplement, mixed with biochar. I'll probably talk about that more later. Go to Mark Baker, our Baker's Green Acres YouTube channel, learn more about that. He's got a lot of videos on how to make that and the health benefits of biochar. Then we're going to mix an active compost and then just a good black dirt, kind of just in a ratio of 1 to 1 to 1 to 1, that we're going to give these guys. We have a problem with coccidia in our area. It's just present in the soil naturally, and we don't really want to mainline coccidia medication into their water because it's expensive, and you're supposed to wait like 10 days or something after you give it to them before you can butcher them, which means it's a pretty strong stuff. So we've read and seen people who have used a biochar compost mix to, the biochar is kind of like a bacteria hotel, so the coccidia will move in to that after they eat the bacteria, the good bacteria that is in the compost mix. And I know it sounds crazy, it sounded crazy to me, but people are doing it and it's working well for them. So that's what we'll be doing to prevent coccidia and to help the birds grow better on this feed. I've heard you don't want to use straw because straw doesn't absorb their manure well. So if I were to put straw in here, which you can see it looked like this before, because this chicken coop, we raised meat birds in this 7, 8, 9 years ago.
It was cleaned out, and then her mom took it over for laying hens. She had, I think, 20 laying hens in here for a few months until we built the coop out by the house. And so, but we haven't cleaned this out. And you can see this is what the floor, it's basically the sawdust and straw has turned to dirt. Let's come over here. You can see by the door where it's gotten wet. That's just turned to basically black dirt. So we didn't even clean this out. There was much less on this side, maybe 2 inches of like that dirt stuff and straw. So I just put sawdust on top of it. And then you just want to make sure your bedding is bone dry. Bone dry. Abram has read stuff saying that you don't want to fine sawdust because it'll
clog up the airways of the chicks, and they'll suffocate on that. So I just use this finer sawdust to build up a base, and then you can see these wood chips are very kiln dried, and they're large.
Well, they're shavings.
They're shavings, and so there's not going to be a fine dust that's going to get into their lungs with that.
Because this comes from a sawmill in our area that I haul here for bedding for cattle, and it's not kiln dried.
Yep.
They're ripping logs.
It's green lumber, right?
Yeah,
well, not green, but
railroad ties.
Yep. So this is not kiln. So we'll put this on top. Oh, hey, can you show them your shirt?
The come and take it with the roll of toilet paper on a cannon.
That is a topical T-shirt right there. It is Sunday. Chicks are set to come either tomorrow, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, depending on the availability at the hatchery. It sounds like they're swamped with all this Kung Flu. Catch the Rona, the Kung Flu. Sweet and sour sicken. We got a water spigot maybe, I don't know, 200 feet away. I'm figuring just to bucket water out here, especially when they're young, it won't be that big a deal. It's exciting. I'm excited, but I'm nervous, because these are the most finicky animals we're ever gonna raise. Joel Salatin says you can make a chicken tractor for $200-300 if you're buying everything brand new. All we had to buy for these chicken tractors were some screws, which most people have wood screws already.
Hardware cloth, chicken wire.
Your water system and your feeder, but those can be.
I'm gonna make the feeders.
Right.
Make them out of some thin.
So I mean,
wood.
because we had the lumber, we had some chicken wire, but we bought some chicken wire. But
you can think about it as it only, well, use what you have, it's cheaper. But then if you really think about it, it's not cheaper because you bought that lumber at some point.
Right.
It's kind of use up everything you have. Do it cheaply without having overhead and less inputs, the better when you're starting.
Yes.
I guess.
If you can do it, if you want to scrounge for stuff, you can make this this is just scrap particle board, some scrap boards that got rained on.
That's a door off of a locker from when we were little. We had lockers in the farmhouse.
And see, it's got an old hinge on it. I mean, the only thing we bought was these lights.
Because our current lights are keeping piglets warm right now.
And wood shavings. But you could scrounge bone dry wood shavings. I mean, you can do this cheaply. Justin Rhodes, I'll put his video in the description. He does a whole breakdown of how to raise 100 meat birds, and the cost breakdown of buying everything new. And so you can look at that and say, well, I have chicken waters already. I have some chicken wire and stuff. But you can do this pretty cheaply. We're investing in it because this is something we think we want to do in the future. But yeah, you can do it cheaply, affordably. And I think it's probably heating up the whole device too. That might be throwing it off.
Yeah.
So this wasn't as useful as I thought it was going to be. But when we get the chicks, we'll know. We just look at them, see how they behave, and then we can adjust it to that. And then we'll slowly wean them off. Not wean them off, but lower the heat or raise the lamps. That's it though, I think. More videos to come. Thank you guys for watching. I'm excited. Not going to lie, I'm pretty nervous. These are finicky animals, but we're excited to experience this and to make good food, especially with all the craziness going on with the food system. I mean, this I wouldn't say coronavirus because it's not the virus, but the response to this disease has showed a lot of flaws in the food system. It kind of showed how fragile it is. So I'm excited that we kind of have more control over our food. We got piglets growing. We got chicks coming. Feels good. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next video. Links in the description for all the cool stuff.